Hey guys, it's Heather Powers, and I'm a grateful girl. 14 times together. Oh my gosh, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that we have already passed Thanksgiving and that we're moving on into the holidays. Apparently, as you know, Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving Hanukkah, and it was the first time since 1888 that we have had that happen, and it will be the last for 79,000 years. Now, how the math works out on that, I am not sure, but we'll go with it. I don't know about you, but this was probably the most significant Thanksgiving of my life, as I've heard from many of you that was the same for you. Um, I think partly because we are moving into a place, many of us, where we are becoming more and more in tune with each other, more and more in tune with the idea that we are so knit together and that when we come together collectively, there's so much to be grateful for. We're all experiencing waves, fresh waves of gratitude in our own lives. But when we come together and we get to share that around a table and break bread together, it's pretty significant. The spirit of that and the spirit moving among us in that kind of environment is really powerful. So I'm grateful for this Thanksgiving. I'm grateful that it meant something different as the grateful girl in this last year of my own awakening, my own journey of awakening. Really special day. Shared it with really special people. You know, today I wanted to talk to you guys, or talk to us. I should include myself in that because I need to hear this. And this is kind of what Spirit is just speaking to, and hopefully through me, but I want to talk about fear. You know, sometimes in our spiritual journey and in our spiritual circles, we are really reminding each other on a regular basis not to entertain fear, which is really important. And I think that as we come together in community and we encourage each other in that, there's a momentum and an encouragement that helps us, reminds us to not stay in that fear place. However, it doesn't mean we don't experience the sensation of fear on many levels at any given moment. I think the more work we do inside, the more we're committed to releasing those mindsets that keep us in bondage, the more apt we are to have those little waves of fear that kind of come and go. And it doesn't mean that something's wrong necessarily. What it is, and like I said, I am just as in this boat as anybody I'm talking to. I will wake up sometimes in the morning and after a great night's sleep have just this gripping wave of fear going, what how am I going to take care of that? And this is generally related to finances for me at this point. But I will look at the how. I will look at the mounting bills that I can't pay in this very moment. I will look at, the work that isn't here as opposed to the work that is here and the things that I do get to do to serve on a regular basis, which I love. I love doing this. I love sharing my journey with you. I know it's what I'm hardwired and called to do. But when those waves of fear come in, I'm recognizing more and more to even be grateful for those. Because here's the deal. If we let them, those waves of fear can become a tool. They're a contrast. We're in peace and we're experiencing peace as we keep focusing on the source, our God, who gives us this peace that does pass all understanding. But we're not totally perfected yet, obviously. We're still living in this realm where there are all kinds of things where we are tempted to look at our circumstances rather than the source of life. This infinite source of love and sustenance and sustainability, this God who knows the details of our lives. And we take our eyes off of that source and we begin to sink internally. And like I said, I think when we look at it as a contrast, rather than something, the fear itself to be feared, it can become a really incredible tool, because it's almost kind of like this stick that pushes us back. Go back and look at your source. Go back and look at your source. When that sensation comes up in us, go back to the source. Everything you need is in you. We have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. You know that perfect love is God, this source that is holding us. Perfect love casts out fear. And that when we get still and we meditate on the fact that we are held now, everything is okay now. We are grateful for the provision now. That fear begins to dismiss itself. I think it's when we resist the fear is when it just wants to grab us and hang on to us, because we're playing with it. We are inviting it to stay. I want to encourage you that when those waves of fear, some of us are trapped in fear. There was a season I was absolutely trapped in fear, and my mind was going constantly to the fear. I was camping out in the fear. I was worried about what people were thinking of me. I was worried about how I was going to provide. There was so much. It was like tendrils around my neck and I couldn't breathe. But as I began to meditate, as I began to meditate on Scripture even, the words of Jesus, the words of Christ. In fact, I want to read something for you. It's out of Colossians. It says, "Let the peace of Christ keep you in tune with each other. None of this going off and doing your own thing. Cultivate thankfulness, gratitude. Let the words of Christ, the message, have run of the house instead of fear. Give it plenty of room in your lives. Instruct and direct one another using good common sense. Sing your hearts out to God. Let every detail in your lives, words, your actions, whatever be done in the name of the Master Jesus, thanking God for every step of the way." You know, a lot of this boils back down to gratitude, which is why I think I mistakenly, not mistakenly, but by a holy accident, became this grateful girl. I realized that as I began to give thanks for those things that I didn't understand, I began to give thanks for those things that were scary to me. And I thanked God for them as challenges that were sharpening me, that were softening me, that were expanding my vision. Those fears dissipate. Fear can be a gift if you let it. Look at it as a tool to keep pointing you back to the source of life that gives you strength, of power, of love, and a sound mind. I am Heather Powers. I'm a grateful girl, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. I love being able to talk with many of you and hopefully encourage many of you. We are in this together. You are not alone. Not going back. I don't think you are either.